to go through the program and clean up anything that was left out or perhaps doesn't work correctly. If you remember, we added this reset turn method, but we didn't actually call it anywhere. Where it needs to be called is in the frame class, up near the top, here in manage UI state. So right here you need to add this game.resetTurn. If you don't do this, then when you reset the game, the turn never gets reset, and then you end up ending the game in the middle of the next game. So that needs to be set right there. Another problem I had is the game would stop with one scoring category still left unfilled, and that's problematic, of course. So I noticed here at the bottom of each of these event handlers, like this one for 3 of a kind, you'll note that we're always doing the same thing. Yes, we're saying this dot show totals. We're checking the turn number. We call manage UI states, and if you look at this phrase right here, it repeats over and over in other places. Now, the bug that I was talking about are in all these other places. So when you see code like this, and certainly if there's bugs inside that code, that's a prime candidate to factor out and write only once, since it doesn't really change from method to method. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just grab all of this, and we're going to copy it. And then we're going to make a method out of it. And maybe I'll put it right before everything so that we know what it does. And we're going to give it a name. So we say public void, and then you want to give it a descriptive name that describes what's going on here. So we're showing the totals and advancing to next turn. So let's call it that, show totals and advance turn. And what we're going to put inside that is that code that repeats over and over again. So the bug is right here. I should have said less than or equal to, but I changed it in this one place. And then what I can do is I can simplify and shorten a lot of the other methods that are down below. So instead of doing all this, we're just going to call our method. And then that shortens the code, but again, if there's bugs in show totals and advanced turn, we only have to fix those bugs in one place and not over and over again like we would have to otherwise. So all I'm doing is replacing that repeated code with a method call, and this should behave a lot more consistently as well. Another issue I've noticed is that on our frame, you don't really want the user to be able to type into the text boxes. Those should be the domain of the program and not the user. So like say if I go in and I choose my 3s, I shouldn't be allowed to go in here and edit these numbers, right? Luckily, it ignores hopefully what I typed in. It still does the summing up correctly. So even though the text box, since I'm not scoring it from the text box, I'm scoring it on the game model, that's not a problem. But we do need to make these read-only to start with. Again, I would go to your design window then and click on each of these boxes and try to find out where the read-only property is located. Okay, so here it is. It's the first property that's listed on the text box. It says editable. You want to uncheck that, and you want to do that for all of the text box here in the game, and that'll make it so that the user can't go in there and start typing stuff. Okay, so trying this out, got some 3s, but you see that I can't type in any of these fields. They're all marked as uneditable, I guess. So I can't type anything in those fields. And now when the score goes in, there's no way for the user to change it. I mean, they can copy from it, but they can't actually change it. So that's a good thing to add, is making those read-only. Alright, here in Manage UI State, we didn't really do a lot with Game Over. It might be nice to tell them that the game is over, and you can show them their score. So right here we could say J option pane dot show message dialog. We'll set that to null. And then what we want to say here is tell them their score. It's a little bit redundant because it's on the score page, but just to let them know they're at the end. Your score was, and then you'd paste on the grand total, so we'll go ask the game for that. Game.get grand total. This should be all up to date now. And then once the user acknowledges that the game is over, then you could leave it up to them whether or not they want to do a new game, and all they have to do is press the new game button.